And to quote Kevin Samuels, you can want what you want, but buy what you can afford. You would have heard Kevin Samuels repeat this quote a few times throughout his YouTube career, his YouTube stint, and he was referring specifically to the women. You can want what you want, but buy what you can afford. Meaning, you can want whatever type of man you want, but the question is, do you qualify? You can want what you want, but buy what you can afford. If you are a single mom and you're 45 years old and you've been twice married and you have 16 children, you understand my gist. It's very unlikely you're going to find yourself the brother who is practicing and who is earning £300,000 a year and who is willing to buy you your own home and who is willing to set up your business. On and on and on. You understand my point. Want what you want, but buy what you can afford. Now, I take this statement from Kevin Samuels and I throw it back onto you brothers equally. Want what you want, but buy what you can afford. What do I mean by that? I released a few clips from one of my streams on my channel over the past few days, and one of them was entitled, the thumbnail was entitled The Age Trap. And the title was something along the lines of, why, if you are a Muslim man and you reach the age of 30 and you are still not married, it's going to become increasingly difficult for you to get married. And the reason why is very simple. If you're non-Muslim, see the pushback that I had, I saw some of the comments was, what are you talking about, Mahdi? When you're past 30, you're coming into your prime. And you're absolutely right, you are. But you're forgetting one small detail. You've got a tiny blind spot, which is actually not tiny at all, which is when we are dealing with non-Muslims who date freely without marrying, they might be single, but they're still seeing girls. They're still sexually active. They still have women in their orbit, particularly men who are doing well for themselves. When you're a Muslim man, you're celibate. You're obviously not indulging in fornication. For the uninitiated, that means sex outside of marriage. And you're on your own. And it reaches a point where a sister will look at you and say to herself, okay, mashallah, that's great that you have protected yourself from haram, and you're looking for marriage and you're not committing haram. That's brilliant. But why are you still single? If you're as great as you are telling me you are, or if you are as desirable as I expect you to be, why are you still single? The math that's going on in her mind, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, is if you were so desirable, you'd be taken already. So why are you still single? And there may not be any truth in that statement. There may well be some truth in that statement. The bottom line is it doesn't matter. Women, generally speaking, are very poor decision makers, particularly when it comes to choosing a spouse. This is why they need their brothers, uncles, fathers. A man who does not who does not have any sexual interest in her, who can help her. They're terrible decision makers. Leave it to her, and she'll most probably make a bad decision and then come out here crying a few years later about how terrible men are. This is typically what happens when she does not have the guidance of a man who has no sexual interest in her. So then we have our brothers who are holding out because they want the 18, 19, 20-year-old chaste girl who's never been married before. Completely understandably. I get it. I'm with you, bro. But I need you now to understand the chessboard. I need you to understand where your pieces fit on the chessboard, your positioning, where you stand. If you are like most men, and most men are average, and you're reaching your masculine prime, which is around mid-30s, but you're still average from a socio-economic point of view, women start to wonder why you're average, you're socio-economically average, and you're still single. Why? Some of you are being, I'm not going to say too fussy, but you want something that you can't afford. You're an average brother, which is fine. Okay, I'm not knocking the average brothers, but you want the high sexual market value women. Women who are in their physical prime, 18, 19, 20, 21, around that age. They are in their prime. They are courting attention left and right. They get attention left and right. And you, average Abdullah, are in competition with those top level men whom she is looking at, who she is looking at, purely by virtue of her youth. She has a high sexual market value, youth and chastity. Just by virtue of her youth and chastity. And I know you can push back and say, oh, but Mahdi, young women are not rare. The market of young women is plentiful. That does not make, therefore, that does not make them valuable. Wrong. This is where you're wrong. And let me explain to you why. Value is dictated by demand. Let me say that one more time for those of you who missed it at the back. Value is dictated by demand. Oil is extremely plentiful, but it is also in great demand. And although it is not expensive, it is valuable because everyone wants it. No. Everyone needs it. Everyone needs oil, but it's not rare. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. But everyone needs it. Therefore, it's valuable. Can you find it everywhere? Yes, absolutely. But everyone needs it. How does this relate to women? These young sisters that you're looking at, 18, 19, 20, 21, many of them in the Western world are holding out for their mythical Prince Charming, whom they will most probably never get. Most probably, she will never land him. But as the great chess grandmaster Boris Spassky once said, he who was willing to commit suicide when Bobby Fischer was refusing to turn up to their championship final chess match. He who was willing to commit suicide has the initiative. If these girls are willing to hold out to the point where they are happy for their prime years to just leave if they can't have what they want. I'd rather be single than settle. How many times have you heard that? He who was willing to commit suicide has the initiative. What are you going to do? You can't force them to see reality, to get a reality check. We can tell them online as we are doing here, but we can't force them. It's their prerogative at the end of the day, whether they want to marry or not, whom they want to marry as well. So, if you are an average brother, particularly living in the West, I need you to understand the chessboard. I get it. You want a young sister, 18 to 21, chaste, never been married before. But you might have to consider a sister who's a little bit older, maybe mid-20s, maybe even a little bit older than that, and hopefully never been married before. Because it's either that or you continue to remain single. The choice is yours. My overwhelming issue that circulates in my mind day in, day out is my young brothers don't have a halal release. My young horny brothers don't have a halal release. And as a result of that, zina has become rampant. Zina, for those of you who don't understand Arabic, means fornication or adultery. Sex outside of marriage. Obviously, it's haram. It's from the major sins. It has become rampant. I want my young brothers to get married, to be with a decent woman who can provide him with a halal outlet. And he can also provide her with a halal outlet. Want what you want, but buy what you can afford. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Amma, you're up. What's going on, my man? So if you like that clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.